If I ever got a tattoo, it'd probably be that
Yeah.
little dimple waving. Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was an episode. Last episode we saw Dimple in the famous wave, and it was wrecking. How did you feel, Fluffy?
Yeah, I felt a lot of emotions for this past episode of Mob Psycho. For me, I didn't really get into Mob Psycho until like late in the game, but it still was like a really impactful
Yeah.
anime to me.
That animal.
The animal inside. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. And I wasn't sure where they were gonna go with this season. It definitely was not. That last episode was not what I was expecting.
And I think that's a great thing about Mob. It's never what you expect. Especially, you remember season 2 when Reagan ended up being kind of like the bad guy, but not really. And I feel like that's what happened with the whole Dimple story. And I just felt wrecked. Like, especially like how they was ending it.
Oof, yeah.
It almost like Mob was able to reach him. He realized that, oh, it was just kind of like a friend. And then just that wave goodbye.
The little,
Yeah.
the pain I just had in my chest remembering it. Oh my gosh. If I ever got a tattoo, it'd probably be that little dimple waving. Oh my God. Can't. That's something I love about this series, though, and I love about this creator as well, is that he always tries to subvert the idea of what a shonen is. And so, like, even you could see in like One Piece, like he was like, shonens are this way, but I'm gonna like kind of like do something different, and that's what made One Piece, sorry, One Punch Man. Why did I say One Piece? One Punch Man. So like that's why One Punch Man was so like popular.
Yeah.
Because like especially for me, who is not really into shonen, I felt like shonen was getting so the same and so boring that like things like this, like One Punch Man and Mob, really stand out to me.
Yeah. I think Mob, now that you said it, it resonates so much. It's almost like that was like the injection of slice of life, maybe even into the shonen genre.
Coming of age.
Right.
There's a lot of coming of age moments in Mob, and I think that's the main point of Mob, is like, especially I think this series, I could be wrong, but I think this series is very much a personal piece for the creator. There's a lot of like father figures and things in the series for Mob, and kind of showing that Mob is growing up and the pain that causes for Mob, but also the pain that causes for like the father figures in his life, or the people who are like growing up with him, how they need to kind of change the way they react or they treat Mob because he is growing up. And I think that's what the whole story with Dimple is as well. What I feel what Dimple represents is kind of like a controlling father figure, realizing that like what they are doing is wrong, and then also that the person that they have been with this whole time is their own person, because he's been wanting Mob to like join him for so long, since the beginning, and thinking that his influence and like his power could persuade Mob in some way. But what he realizes, I think, in this last episode is that Mob is becoming his own person, and that's a good thing.
I actually personally view Dimple as that friend who, you know, initially became friends with this person because they saw that they could benefit from that friend. But slowly started to like that friend. But then, you know, saw an instance or opportunity arise to like benefit themselves, but in the same meantime, like screw over that friend. And then the way that Mob reacted to Dimple as a friend, not like, oh, you betrayed me or whatever, but more so like the accepting lovingness, making that friend, aka Dimple, realize that, man, like I actually found what it was that I wanted, which was someone who would be with me like this forever and accept
Yeah.
me in all instances of myself. And
Yeah.
that's why it was so heart wrecking just to see like the bye-bye. The fact
Yeah.
that he was like, he still was inside of his god form, but like showed himself, like how he looked to Mob, like when he first started interacting with him. And it just was like it was a really sad moment.
That is a good point. Yeah, I would say he is more relatable to like a friend. I was thinking more so when I said father figure, like Reagan. But yeah, Dimple being more as that friend that like, it's almost like they showed Dimple like changing into what he thinks he should be.
Yeah.
And you've seen that in like friend groups. It's like you see a friend that like kind of changes their ways to try to be something else. And then and then maybe sometimes that friend becomes a jerk.
Yeah.
And they don't even realize it.
That they're jerky, yeah.
And like that can go one of two ways. It's like the friend that sees that they're being a jerk can either leave or like be like, no, I'm here for you and I still support you. And that's what Mob does for Dimple.
Yes.
And it's so sad.
Yeah,
it's like
is
happy
sad.
but sad.
That it just was like, and then also this is kind of like halfway inside of the semester. Not this is kind of like halfway.
Nikita coming out.
Yeah. This is like halfway inside of the series. And it just felt like a main character was getting ripped out of the series. And it wasn't for anything like mean or like vicious. It was something that he had to do, had to grow through. And then just him like, doing this ultimate thing. And then at the end, Mob just realizing like, man, this person who I really care about is just now gone. And he did it for me. And I should appreciate that. But like, yeah, it was sad.
Yeah, it was so sad. Yeah, also the whole like Mob realizing that Dimple is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't read the manga, so I don't know. Like maybe Dimple comes back, but it felt very final. It felt very like Dimple is gone.
So I thought it was an excellent episode. I don't know where they're gonna go from there though.
It was such a good episode. Even with, I know they brought on like a really legendary animator for this episode as well. So you could tell like the animation was so good with like the fighting with Dimple and
Chef's
just in general, it was just so good. Mob just, I'm sure there are those people that are like, oh, I hate the people who obsess over Mob, but it's such a good show. It is. It's
top tier.
Yeah, it just brings more every episode. It doesn't just stay stagnant.
Too.
Yeah, every season as well. Yeah. So
and it's things that you didn't think you'd care about. I didn't think he'd care about, or I wouldn't necessarily thought I would be into this anime that's showing this ghost, I don't know, losing his friend. Oh, like it's well done, right? So
yeah, very well done. And yeah, so lots of emotion, lots of like, I was about to cry. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, it really pulled on your heartstrings, and I like envisioning it now, and it make me feel like misty eyed.
Yeah.
So definitely, we're excited to see where Mob Psycho goes for the rest of the season. Thanks for watching. If you like these types of videos and first reactions, definitely subscribe down below. You get it from us all the time.
All the time. Even when you're sleeping.
All the time.
Even when your computer's off, we will be there.
All the time. I didn't think he'd care about, or I wouldn't necessarily thought I would be into this anime that's showing this ghost, I don't know, losing his friend. Oh, like it's well done, right? So
yeah, very well done. Yeah. So lots of emotion, lots of like, I was about to cry.